What's up, everyone? I'm Rick Knight. Welcome back to another video here at the Bad Philosopher. Okay, so the one of the the top Democrat in charge, Nancy, I've lost my mind, Pelosi, recently told an interviewer that she will not be seeking to impeach President Donald Trump. She's giving up on that. She's saying the divisiveness of the country is not worth it to try to impeach him. It's going to just cause more harm than good. She's giving up on it. Then she was asked if he was fit to run the country, and she asked him what way, and they said, mentally, morally, or whatever. She said, no, he's not fit to run the country. But yet she's giving up on impeachment because it's not worth it, because it's going to cause just too much tension in the country. I don't think that's what it is. I think they would love to impeach Trump. I think really what it is that the Russian collusion investigation is about to officially conclude. Mueller is going to publish his reports, and it's going to be a big fat zero. No collusion, no crime committed. They have nothing to hold legally against the president, against President Trump. There's no grounds for impeachment. They know this. His first term is ending. 2020 is going to kick, or the 2020 election is going to kick off real soon. He's most likely going to win the 2020 election as well. They know this. They're fearful of this. Impeachment is not going to happen, not to mention even if it does get passed in the House, if they do have an impeachment bill, which, I believe they will get, it won't get past the Senate because you need 2/3 votes on the Senate, and the Senate now is Republican controlled. Impeachment is not on the horizon. It's not going to happen. There's no grounds for it, and now they're backpedaling. Pelosi is now making an excuse for why she doesn't think we should impeach President Trump. When before they were calling for impeachment, now they realize that there's actually no reason to do so. There's no grounds to do so. The country is doing better. Economically, we are doing better. We are stronger. We are standing up against some of the other countries that Obama pretty much bowed to, and which is doing, all around better as a nation, and they know this. They know this, and they know that removing Trump from office will hurt the economy. So they're backpedaling. There's just no legal reason to do so. There's no Russian collusion. There's no crime that's been committed. I know they made arrest on some of his cabinet members, some of the people that was in his campaign. They arrested them. They arrested them all on charges that have nothing to do with any collusion. Most of these charges stemmed from before he even ran for president, and has nothing to do with Trump himself. I mean, some people arrested for tax evasion and stuff like that, and other lying to Congress and stuff that just has nothing to do with Trump himself. And they know this, and now Pelosi's backpedaling. Some of the other low-hanging fruit Democrats that are in office, some of the congressmen and women that pretty much don't understand how to tie their own shoes, won't give up on impeachment. They'll still, yell, silly stuff like, I'm going to impeach the motherfucker, like the congresswoman from Michigan. What's her name? Talib, whatever the hell her name is. The Palestinian woman congresswoman who had, it said Palestine over the flag, over the map where she had Israel, and other anti-Semitic remarks coming from like Congresswoman Omar, and then some of the Democrats that are backing her on it. They don't care. They will tear this entire country apart if they get a chance to. In fact, I believe that's their goal. That's what they want to do. These are socialists, Marxists, stuff like that, postmodernists, and this is what they do. They destroy everything that's going good, tear it down because it's not good enough, and try to make it to be their version of good, which is always oppressive. It's always just, damaging and destructive. And then they'll just turn around and blame somebody else, right? Like socialists do. They'll implement socialist policies and a socialist political and economic and societal system, and then when it all goes to hell and it collapses, they turn around and say, well, it wasn't socialism, it was the corruption. It's like, well, socialism leads to corruption. I mean, how are you supposed to get by? How are you supposed to make a living? How are you supposed to survive under socialist rules? You can't. You have to be corrupted. You're forced to be corrupted. What are you going to do if you can't pay your rent? You have to figure out why, right? You have to do something. And if a job is not the option, and feeding your family is not a viable option, then what do? You steal. You do things. You're corrupted. I mean, there's just no way around it. First of all, you already have corruption. Even in capitalism, you're going to have corruption. There's just no way around it. You cannot avoid corruption. At least with capitalism, people can flourish and make money, and they don't need to be corrupted. They don't have to, right? They can become very wealthy, and they can just play by the books and make a lot of money. They don't have to cheat, lie, cheat, and steal, or stab people in the back. They can do very well without having to do any of that. And some people do it anyway. But you have corruption no matter what, whether it's a capitalist or a socialist society. Either way, corruption is corruption. It's there. It's not going to go anywhere based on the political system that you have. Socialism might breed more corruption, or it might not. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's a system that just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It's failed 100% of the times, but they don't want to give up on it. They think that they think they're the ones to make it work. The entire Soviet Union, couldn't make it work, right? None of the socialist countries in Europe was able to make it work. Venezuela couldn't make it work. Cuba they're still starving. North Korea is starving. All these countries that have socialism and communism and stuff like that, they always fail and they collapse and they just don't do very well. But yet you get these handful of socialists and communists here in America that think that they know how to implement it properly and they know how to make it work. Everyone else doesn't. And then they say, well, that wasn't real socialism anyway, or that wasn't socialism that destroyed the nation. It was corruption. It was the 1%ers. It was America's fault. It was the evil cisgender straight white male patriarch Christian that did that. It's the same old manufactured enemy that they always point to instead of pointing to the real enemy, which is themselves, which is the actual system that they want to implement. Removing Trump and what are you going to remove him and then what Mike Pence is going to come into office and as vice president he steps up as president. And a lot of people on the left says that Pence is even worse than Trump. It's like, I have a good idea. Let's impeach Trump and let Mike Pence take over, who's actually worse than Trump, right? That's a good idea, right? I think so. It's just stupid. It just doesn't make sense. But the whole reason why Nancy Pelosi is backing down now and saying that impeaching him is not worth it is because she knows she can't get him impeached. She can't. Physically, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. That's for starters. And second, impeach him on what? What charges? What grounds? If you put a resolution together in the House saying you want to impeach the president, and it's like, okay, well, why do you want to impeach him? It's like, what are you going to say? You don't like his tie? What are you going to say about him? I don't like the way he does his hair. I don't like that he's orange. Orange man bad. What are you going to say? There's no reason to impeach him, and they know this, and they know that the Russian collusion, Mueller's Russia collusion is going to conclude soon. It's going to come to an end. There's no grounds. There's nothing criminal about Trump in dealing with Russia in any way, shape, or form. There's no criminal charges you can levy against President Trump, and they know this. I'm sure they have inside word, being that they're on the inside. They're politicians. They probably in contact with certain people, a part of the investigation, who's feeding them information, telling them that they have nothing right now, and just sit back and wait and. The Russian conclusion is going to come to an end once the election is over. It's going to officially be over, maybe a little before, because there's nothing else you can do. At this point, you can't eliminate Trump. You can't impeach him. They're going to lose the 2020 election. Once Trump's second term starts, that's it. All they can do is ride it out for the next 4 years and let him finish his term. There's nothing else he could do. Right now, they're trying to prevent him from having a second term. And once they realize that it's too late and they can't do that, then they're just going to move on to the next thing. They're going to try to frame him in some other way. They're going to try to point fingers at him about something else. They're going to just, more propaganda and more nonsense and just continue to work against him and try to harm him and his reputation any way they possibly can. But as far as stopping him from having a second term, it's not going to happen. He's going to get it, and that's something they got to get used to. Look who they're putting up. It's like let's gather up the shittiest Democrats of the land for the 2020 elections and see which one of them who can lose the worst against Trump, because that's what's going to happen ultimately. Who would have the best chance? They say Biden will have the best chance, and he hasn't put his hat in the ring yet and said that he wants to run for president. I don't know why. Maybe it's just too much of a job that he just doesn't want to take on right now. Or maybe he's afraid of something. He's afraid of what's going to come once he is standing on the stage and on the world stage running for for president, and his background and everything pops up. They talk about in the 70s some of the comments he's made. They talk about his extremely creepy behavior around little girls. And stuff like that is going to come up. He probably doesn't want it. So, if Biden doesn't run for president, who's next? Bernie, socialist Bernie. He's not going to win. The DMC screwed him in 2016. Hillary and the DMC screwed him. They didn't want him. They know what he's about. They know, the Clintons and the DNC uses the very same capitalism that these Democrats, love to shit on to become very wealthy. How much money did Clinton make? She made a ton of money. They made a ton of money off of being capitalist. And then here you have Bernie Sanders, who's an open a democratic socialist, who owns like 3 homes or something, drives, luxury cars. This is the guy, this is the socialist that wants to tell us how to live and how we should live and how much money we should make and how much someone should pay us, and extremely high taxes just so we can have free education and free healthcare and free this and free that, when it's not. You're taking all my money for me to have all that in the first place, and you own 3 cars and drive an expensive luxury car. So that's the guy that they're going to put up that has the best chances of winning. I don't think so. Who do you have? You have Harris, you have Booker, you have Warren. You have the usual suspects, and they're not going to go anywhere. The country's not going for them. Harris is going to have to explain why she's constantly pandering to the black community. She's going to have to explain why she's locked up more black men when she was the attorney general in California than anyone else. She has to explain that. I know she likes to play both sides of the fence. In an interview she did with the Breakfast Club on 105.1, she told Charlamagne the God, that her co-workers would say, hey, you're supposed to lock them up, not let them out, because she was like helping them get out so they can like restart their lives and all this nonsense. And you just know it's not true. She's like the Robin Hood, stealing from the rich to give to the poor. She was trying to work the system from the inside to make some type of prison reform and something. And she's standing for prison reform. Meanwhile, she put more people in jail, more black people in jail than anything while she was the Attorney General of California. So, it's just a nonsense from her. They're not falling for her. She doesn't have very good chances. I mean, she'll make it to the middle before she's bumped off, and I don't see Booker making it very far. Elizabeth Warren, I guess affirmative action for Native Americans, and she might make it somewhat to the middle as well, and then she'll drop off. And in the end, if Biden doesn't run, Bloomberg already said he's not running it. It looks like there's a good chance that it's going to be Socialist Sanders versus Trump, and I don't think Sanders is going to take it. Popular votes, even if he gets the popular votes, it means nothing. We have the electoral votes. Most of the states are going to pick Trump. He is going to he is going to win. Sanders doesn't resonate with the hardworking men and women, in certain states where they don't live in these huge cities. They live in a state where most of the work is blue collar work, and they know what it's like to work hard and earn a living and have to pay bills and struggle to take care of their family. And they don't want more taxes. They don't want socialism. They don't want any of that. You have a lot of business owners throughout the country that knows what will happen to their business if Sanders takes over. They're not going to vote for Sanders. And then you have the right to work states, or at least the states with very weak unions. They're not going to vote for Sanders either. So, I just don't see Sanders turning any states. He's going to get the typical New York and California, Austin, Texas, or something like that. He's going to get the same old socialist enclaves throughout the country that will vote for him, and the big states, maybe Chicago, the city, Chicago City Chicago will vote for him, but Detroit is something like that, if it's even a high voting turnout, which I don't think it would be, and that's it. I mean, I don't see anybody besting Trump in the 2020 election, and Pelosi knows this, and that's why they're backtracking on this impeachment stuff. And there's just no reason for it. There's no evidence for it, and that's it. So it just shows, that not only are they very easy to read, but they think that we're stupid and that we'll fall for the nonsense that comes out of the Democrats' mouth. And you know what? I guess a lot of us do. A lot of the people on the left, they fall for it because they're over there voting for them. They're over there thinking that was the right move to vote for those people. And that's what they're doing. And they're going to continue to do so because they're easily tricked. It's like a little shiny, object for them that they're fixated on. They throw on CNN, let them watch it, they believe it, and some buzzwords are dropped, inclusion and diversity and equity and all this nonsense, and that's it. The religion of social justice kicks in. People become very religious on the left with with that, and they follow through, and that's it. So, but. All right, just wrapping it up. Trump will be president in 2020. There is no impeachment. Pelosi doesn't want an impeachment because there's no reason for it. It's not going to happen. She knows this, and she's backpedaling and trying to find an excuse and a backdoor route for why they're not going to try to impeach him, or why they shouldn't, because it's just they can't. Plain and simple. So, all right, people, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you on the next video.